What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? This is your brother Chief Kalanago Flying Eagle with another video. All right. I decided to give y'all another one, okay, before I take a break. So, let me make sure we good on Facebook in terms of audio. What's going on? What's going All right, on? Here What's we are. On? This is your brother. All right, let me make sure we have audio on YouTube. Yes, we should be okay. All right. So first things first, acknowledge the great spirit, universal intelligence, universal source, the great I am. I want to give thanks to my ancestors continuously, thanking them and honoring them because they are me and I am them, thanking them for guidance and protection and knowing that weapons formed against me will never prosper. Okay. So we are going to get into this build. The article is in the link below. So make sure you check it out yourself, do your own reading, do your own research. This is strictly for educational purposes, okay? And that's what I do. I teach, I educate, I share information, and you do what you want with it. All right, hope everybody's having an amazing sunrest. Remember, life is what you make it, okay? It's your life. And know that whatever you perceive within your own mind becomes your reality. All right, so I hope you're doing well. I'm excited. And I'm ready to get into this build. So let me take a sip of this green juice that I got. Okay. I went to this all organic store out here in Brooklyn on Church Avenue. And man, they got some beautiful smoothies, boy. Woo! So I'm actually I have one right now, but we're gonna get into this build, all right? We have a little bit of reading to do. As you know, I love to read. Reading is fun for the mental, okay? Pardon me. Hey, what's up, Joanne? What's up, Joanne? How you doing? Hope all is well. All right, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go. Let me share this. And the link is in your... the link is in the description. So let's read a little bit, okay? Nah, I'm having a green smoothie. So that's what I'm sipping on right now. You dig? All right, so this right here is from America's Revealed on revealing the past. Okay, the past of the Americas while preserving that past for the future. Okay, it's a site that I had in my archive. I have like a whole, I'm talking about, I probably have bookmarked like about maybe 200 different sites with information. So like I told y'all before, I have so much information to share, it's not even funny. Okay, but anyway, that's neither here or there, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into this article, all right, and look at, this is the cabin. Let me show you a picture of that. And that is Chief White Path Cabin. That's in Northeast Georgia, History Center, Gainesville, Georgia. Okay. So let us get into this. This article was published on June 12, 2020. It was written by Alec Mountain. And it's the secret of the Ellijay. Okay. Some people may say Elijah, but it's Ellijay and the Great Cherokee Chief White Path. All right. By Richard L. Thornton, architect and city planner. All right. A full-blood Georgia Cherokee chief was actually a mostly white Quaker from northeastern North Carolina. He was distantly related to the white father of the Cherokee leader, Charles Hicks. His father was also a Quaker. Now, I'm going to read that again. Okay. A full-blood Georgia Cherokee chief was actually a mostly white Quaker from northern North Carolina. Now you may ask, well, Chief, how come he could be full-blooded Cherokee, all right, but from North Carolina, but he was a white Quaker? Like I told y'all before, some of you may not believe me, but the Cherokee Nation was invented. Okay, it was invented, all right, and he was distantly related to what? The white father of the Cherokee leader, Charles Hicks, his father was also a Quaker. For those of you who don't know who the Quakers were or are, let us go ahead and just let me stop sharing my screen real quick, and let me just go ahead and give you the origin of the Quakers, okay, real quick. So this is left for, argument, okay. This is left for argument or for more investigation, but let me just share this first, and let us look into the origin of Quakers, okay. So Quakers, the Religious Society of Friends, also referred to as Quaker movement, was founded in England in the 17th century by George Fox. Quaker missionaries first arrived in America in the mid-1650s. Quakers who practiced pacifism played a key role in both the abolitionist and the women's rights movement. Okay, so if they first came into the Americas in the 1650s, they came in as indentured servants or slaves. Okay, you have to keep that in mind. Remember, no pale individual came into the Americas before the early 1700s, on their own free will. They came in literally to work, or like everybody else. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. All right, now let us stop sharing the screen and go back to the article. Okay, let's go back to that article. Okay, so over and over again, we find examples in the southern United States where local tourism promotion organizations, even state government agencies, have ignored the findings of competent archaeologists and historians to create fictional histories, which replicate themselves across official state history texts, historical markers, and internet references. In this case, they even ignored an official investigative report by a National Park Service. In northern Georgia, there is far more serious version of this problem. Vast amounts of North Carolina Cherokee casino profits have been used to bribe Georgia politicians, rural community cultural centers, online references, museums, museum board of directors, publicly funded county convention, and visitors, borrows, and individual professors to promote false history, which is determined to the tourism industry and economy of Georgia. Of course, this is nothing new. I remember, which I showed y'all the video. I went into a museum. Where was that at? I think it might have been in man, it's been a while. But anyway, I went to the museum, and I literally caught them in the lie, because they were showing me pictures of these natives, okay, that looked like the current natives. But then when I started investigating and asking them, they had to speak the truth. Like they said, listen, we're not sure, those people, we don't know what these people look like. That's what they told us. So that's what we are saying. And I got it right on video from the woman from the horse's mouth. Okay, so this happened all over the Americas. Okay, now all of these recipients are receiving much larger amounts of public funds from Georgia taxpayers, but betray their true patrons for 30 pieces of silver. For the past 14 years, the people of One Fire has been quietly amazing proof of this corruption, with solid evidence that will stand up in court. Certain Georgia archaeologists, museum directors, and Chamber of Commerce officials have been receiving travel expense checks and substantial free perks at Cherokee, North Carolina casino hotels, which have not been reported as other income on federal and state tax forms. All right, and this is a view of the rich mountains from Ellijay, Georgia. All right, Propagandized history number 1, Ellijay, Georgia. Ellijay is today the county seat of Gilmer County, Georgia, which is located in the heart of North Georgia mountains. The county is a beautiful region known for its apples, peaches, crystal clear rivers, Carter Lakes, Lake Blue Ridge, and pristine mountainsides. The beautiful Cherokee, Ellijay, and Kasawati River flow through the county. The Kasawati was the inspiration for the best-selling book and blockbuster movie Deliverance. The author of the book, James Dickey, lived in Gilmer County as a teenager. His most famous poems were also located in Gilmer County. These assets attract many tourists, most of whom are completely unaware of the region's rich and ancient American Indian history. Ellijay is the anglicized version of the Instate Creek word Elisi or Elasi, which is pronounced Ellijay. The word literally means offspring from foothills, but in the 18th century, usage referred to the mixed Creek, Spanish, Australian, Sephardic Jewish descendant of the 17th century Spanish-speaking gold miners. Okay, the two forms of Elasi are place names in northern Georgia, Ellijay and Elati. Apparently, most of the native residents left the region when the United States and the state of Georgia secretly stole north central and northwest from the Creeks and the Chickasaws in 1784 Treaty of Augusta. I'm going to repeat that again. Okay, apparently, most of the native residents left the region when the United States and the state of Georgia secretly stole the north central and northwest Georgia from the Creeks and the Chickasaws in 1784 Treaty of Augusta. They gave the region to the Cherokees in return for the Cherokees giving up most of their lands in Tennessee. Okay, Georgia was, in other words, it was a trade-off. All right, Georgia was then given a secret treaty by the federal government in 1795, which promised that the Cherokees would be removed from the state by 1805. Once again, for those of you who do not know, it's all about commerce. I keep reminding you, it's about commerce, okay? It's business. The Creek leadership declared war on the state of Georgia when they found out about the secret clause of 1784 treaty with the Cherokees, which they never saw. That gave the Cherokees all the lands west of the Chattahoochee River and north of the Etowah River. President Washington dispatched General Marinus Willett to explain to them that a war against Georgia would become a war against the United States. The Creek leaders backed off, but Upper Creek towns continued their sporadic raids on the frontier until 1795. These Spanish-speaking creeks ended up in southern Florida. Ellijay, Florida was one of the several Spanish-speaking Seminole towns in southern Florida until they were destroyed by the federal troops in the 1840s. The word Ellijay only appeared as a family name in the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. Up until the 1600s, the region was within the famous province of Cosa, which was visited by Hernando de Soto in summer of 1540. De Soto planned to make the capital of Cosa the capital of La Florida, which then included most of the present-day southeastern United States. The people of Cosa were the ancestors of the Upper Creek Indians. Okay, right here is a picture, Rich Mountain Terrace Complex, Easter Test Stone Ruins. All right, and that's in Gilmer County, Georgia. There's also a large agricultural terrace complex in the Rich Mountain Wilderness area of the Chattahoochee National Forest in eastern Gilmer County. This archaeological zone indicates the presence of Itza Mayas in the region prior to the arrival of the Cosa. I am keeping its location a secret since it would be almost impossible for USFS and state forest rangers to protect the site. Hold on for a second. The famous archaeologist Warren K. Moorhead, 1926, and Robert Woodchuck, 1939, found dozens of mounds along the rivers of Gilmer County. The largest ones were adjacent to the downtown Ellijay. In one of the largest mounds, Moorhead found several rusted iron nails, tools, and weapons mixed with typical pre-Columbian Creek artifacts and burials. He had no explanation for the iron artifacts, and is not known what became of them. Also, numerous 16th and 17th century metal tools, armor, and weapons have been found in the eastern part of the country. Some ethnic Cherokees village bands associated with the Chickamauga hostiles did enter the county during the 1780s. One such renegade village on Bear Creek in the western part of the county was massacred by the Western Territorial Militia from what is now Tennessee. However, in general, true Cherokees did not settle in Georgia mountains because they were eligible for the obtaining prime bottomland farms in the Great Appalachian Valley further west. There was never a major Cherokee settlement in the county. Most maps of the Cherokee Nation in Georgia do not show any Indian villages in present-day Gilmer County. We have found that the residents of Gilmer County are generally unaware of its extraordinary American Indian heritage. Even families living next to mounds or on ancient town sites are unaware of their existence. All right. Ellijay's fictional history. The New Georgia Encyclopedia tells us, open quote, Ellijay is an anglicized form of a Cherokee word, perhaps meaning place of green things or many waters, close quote. The latter definition seems sensible because the town of Ellijay once a large Cherokee trading center. A website maintained by a tourism agency based in the Gilmer County tells us, open quote, the origin of the city's name is not certain, but thought to be the English derivative of an Indian word or words meaning many waters, place of green things, or new ground, close quote. Some histories say it may have been named for an Indian chief, inhabited for countless years by the Cherokee people indigenous to North Georgia. The area was first mentioned as a village and trade center before the onslaught of white settlers inhabited the region, close quote. Fact checked. The Cherokee word meaning many waters, place of green things, or new ground bear absolutely no resemblance to the word Ellijay. They were just tall tales made up by the people in the past who had no knowledge of either the Cherokee or the Creek languages. The major Cherokee trading center refers to the large Proto-Creek towns with mounds in Ellijay, which were abandoned about a century before the Cherokees were given the ownership of that region. All right, and this is a picture right there. Thunder Falls on the Pawtucket River in Gilmer County, and that's in Georgia. All right. Propagandized history number 2, Chief White Path. On July 27th, 1827, the Cherokee Nation adopted a constitution which replaced the traditional tribal based on clan and villages with one directly modeled after that of the United States. And that happened all over. If you remember my conversation with the Cherokee Nation, okay, to get on the Dawes Roads, what they had to do, they had to ratify treaties and create new treaties and literally exile, okay, original Cherokee people. All right. And you could hear that in the conversation. So let's read that again. Okay. On July 27th, 1827, the Cherokee Nation adopted a constitution which replaced the traditional tribal government based on clan and villages with one directly modeled after that of the United States. Whereas Cherokee women previously had what considerably influenced tribal decisions, the new constitution disenfranchised all the females. Okay, one of the men elected to the new council, known in reference today solely as Chief White Path, lived in Tunip Town near present-day Ellijay. Georgia. He would have been completely forgotten like 99% of his contemporary Cherokees had he not attempted vehemently to persuade the council to abandon the new constitution. It is also said in modern references that he tried to get rid of the Christian missionaries and return to the Cherokees to their traditional religion. If one learns about the real white path, that modern example of faith-based history seems unlikely. In the 1980s, when transportation planners were studying the proposed four-lane route of an extension of the Interstate 575 called Highway 515 through Gilmer County, Georgia, they identified a very old log cabin near the banks of White Path Creek. Local historians told them that it was former the home of Gilmer County's first judge, Aaron Pinson, and before that the home of Chief Whitepath. An archaeological consulting firm was brought into the study to study the site. Its archaeologists and historians confirmed the historical value of the old building. It is the standard policy of Georgia Department of Transportation to bulldoze creek heritage sites and mounds throughout the state after they are secretly studied by archaeological consulting firms. So once again, it is a policy of Georgia Department of Transportation to bulldoze. What does that mean? Destroy creek heritage sites and mounds throughout the state after what? They are secretly studied. Okay? Now, the public and George's Creek descendants almost never know that a town or mound site has been destroyed. This was the policy for all creek and Uchi sites on Highway 525, but an exception was made for this log cabin. Civil engineers designed the expressway lanes to go around the cabin, leaving a park-like green space in the widened median. In 1995, funds were obtained, including casino from the Eastern Board of Cherokees, to dismantle the White Path cabin and reconstruct it next to the Northeast Georgia History Center in Gainesville, Georgia. It was presented as a Cherokee heritage site, and the Gainesville area is now described as a place where the Cherokee lived for thousands of years. In fact, until 1805, the site of Gainesville was within the lands of the Creek Confederacy. From 1805 until 1818, the Gainesville area was on the extreme edge of the Cherokee Nation. Very few, if any, ethnic Cherokees ever lived there. The first became suspicious because of discrepancies in the age of the cabin and the fact that the Northeast Georgia History Center tells you that he grew up in a cabin that was built either 20 or 40 years after he was born. Before telling the reader what the National Park Service and the United States Census tells us about Chief Whitepath, we will let you pursue what is said on historical markers, websites, and museum brochures. After the poof, we'll fact check those statements. Famous Cherokee leaders: Kituwa Band of Cherokees. Number 1, Chief Whitepath or Nuna Suniga was a son of Chief Red Horse and was born in 1763 in Sogli Gii, Cherokee Nation, North Carolina, and died in 1838 on the Trail of Tears. Okay, that long word I just pronounced. Okay, or scribe clan has the 4 centuries maintained in the Cherokee writing system. Whitepath's father was one of those scribes and passed his sacred information down to him. Fact check. Okay, now I'm going to make an attempt to pronounce that again. So Gli Gai means horse red people, place of. There is a red horse family name in Oklahoma, but there is no mention of a Cherokee chief named Red Horse or a village by the name in Southwest during the mid-1700s. This is typical of much of the amateur Kiowa Cherokee historians. They have been gone from the southeast, for 200 years and don't deliquate about the Muskogee languages spoken in Georgia or the geography of the region. Not that this version says the White Path was born in 1763. Descendants of George Guest's Sikowa website. Number 2. Chief White Path was born in 1761. He and his brother Seguya were the sons of Red Horse. They were born in Soguiligigayi on the Whitefires River, which was located in Rutherford County, North Carolina. Red Horse was the chief of the scribe clan that were curators of the secret alphabet for 4 centuries. Whitepath and his brother Sugwali brought the secret alphabet out of obscurity after the fall of the Cherokee Nation in 1795. Fact check. So Whitepath and Sequoia were brothers? Question mark. The Red Horse thing began with an alternative history book about Sequoia by Traveler Bird. In several sections of the book, Bird describes major tribal towns of Creek Confederacy as ancient Cherokee clans, not knowing that they were Creek words. Later, Cherokee and Wanab Cherokee writers or wannabe Cherokee writers have taken Bird's book as a total fact, then spiraled further and further away from reality. All right. Private Gilmer County historian site. Number 3. White Path was a full-blood Cherokee and Great War chief of the Cherokee Nation. He was born in 1761 near Ellijay, Georgia, where his parents had always lived. He led the charge at the Battle of Horseshoe Bend against the Shawnee Creeks, which helped General Andrew Jackson win the battle. Afterward, he became a man of peace and buried the hatchet. He then fought to return the Cherokee Nation its traditional ways. He died on the Trail of Tears while leading his family and neighbors to Oklahoma. Fact check. Research by the National Park Service and the archives will refute most of the statements made on this website. They are presented below. State DOT Stone Monument on Highway 515. Number 4. Home of the Cherokee Indian Chief White Path stood 1800 to 1982, 338 yards southwest of this marker. Aaron Pinson, born February 5th, 1784, lived here from 1838 until his death December 7th, 1843. Fact check. The consultants for the Georgia DOT determined that the cabin was built 20 years later than stated by the Gilmer Historical Center and Northwest Georgia History Center. Number 5. Chief White Path of Cherokee Nation. The cabin was built circa 1780 near the site of present-day Ellijay, Georgia, by White Path's parents. During the White Path time, the cabin consisted of a single room downstairs with a loft above. In the land lottery of 1832, the cabin and the land it was on was awarded to the Pinson family, who were white settlers. The Pinsons later added a doctorate central hallway and another room downstairs. They also extended the loft into a full story under the eaves to bring it to full size that it remains today. The cabin was relocated onto the current site in the Cherokee County in 1995 under the direction of Conte Cooley, a descendant of White Path and of James Mathis. All right, and this is a picture of the cabin right here. All right, restored interior of the Chief White Path cabin, Gainesville. All right, Gilmer County Historical Society and Northwest Georgia History Center websites. A full-blood Cherokee chief, White Path was born in 1761 near Ellijay and grew up in the cabin. His Cherokee name, Nuna Suniga, translates literally as I dwell on the peaceful or white path. A skillful orator, he frequently spoke out the Cherokee National Capital at New Ikuta against the ceding land to the white settlers. In 1814, he joined the General Andrew Jackson to fight the Creeks at the Battle of Horseshoe Bend in Alabama War of 1812. He, alongside with a small band of Cherokees, was instrumental in securing victory for Jackson when they stole the Creek's canoes, cutting off their escape by water. White's path strongly protested the influence of white settlers in fiery orator at Cherokee capital of New Echota. A strict follower of the traditional ways, he spoke against the new Cherokee Constitution and the introduction of Christianity by missionaries. He eventually yielded to the new ways and focused his efforts on fighting the removal policies of his old comrade, give me a second, and now President Andrew Jackson. He and Chief John Ross traveled to Washington to denounce the removal treaty signed as void. They were unsuccessful and returned to Georgia. In the fall of 1838, at the age of 77, Whitepath helped to organize the removal, later known as the Trail of Tears. He and other Cherokee leaders realized that the best chance for survival lay in an orderly march to Oklahoma. On a stop near the Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Chief Whitepath died and was buried beside Chief Fly Smith, who also died during the night. Today, his former home is interpreted as a Cherokee farmstead circa 1835 with authentic furnishings, vegetable gardens, and herb gardens typical of a Cherokee home just prior to the removal. Fact checked. How could Whitepath have grown up in a cabin when it was built 20 or 40 years after he was born? Nowhere in the archives of the old Cherokee Nation was Whitepath listed as a chief of the Cherokee Nation. He was a member of the National Council for one term. There are many more surprises below. Arbitrary in Kentucky newspaper. All right. Number 6. Whitepath, a Cherokee Indian chief, died near Hopkinsville, Kentucky. A few days ago, aged 75 years. He was a part of a company of Indians migrating west, was near the Nashville Road and monument of wood, painted to resemble marble, erected to his memory, on which is inscribed his name. Fact checked. The Kentucky newspapers stated that Whitepath was 2 years younger than stated in bios published by the Gilmer County Historical Society and the Northeast Georgia History Center. Wikipedia. Number 7. Wikipedia. Nanahitsun Niga or Whitepath was a full-blood traditionalist, leader and member of the Cherokee National Council who lived at Tunip Town, Ulunyi, near the large Ellijay Iletzeyi or Lazia in the early 19th century. In 1824, influenced by the teaching of the Seneca prophet Handsome Lake, he began a rebellion against the acculturation then taking place in the Cherokee Nation, proposing the rejection of Christianity and the new constitution and a return to the old tribal laws. He soon had a large following whom his detractors referred as Red Sticks, and they formed their own council, electing Big Tiger as their principal chief. The more progressive leaders on the National Council, such as Path Keeler, Charles R. Hicks, Major Ridge, and John Ross, deposed him from his seat in 1826. But when he submitted to their authority in 1828, he was returned to his seat and died sometimes in 1838 in the vicinity of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, during the Cherokee removal. Actual historical documents rather than folklore. National Park Service. The National Park Service and the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma hired historians to prepare a complete list of Cherokees who fought in the Battle of Horseshoe Bend, regardless if they were not listed on U.S. Army rosters. The purpose was to erect a monument to the Cherokee veterans at the Horseshoe Bend National Battlefield Park. The list does not contain a name similar to White Path or Nanasunega. Fact check. Whitepath did not fight at Horseshoe Bend, as almost all references state. It would seem odd that a 50-year-old man would volunteer to fight other Native Americans for the Army if he was an avowed pacifist, and angry at the United States government for its treatment of the Native Americans. In that era, an age of 50 years would be considered quite old, certainly too old to fight in vigorous guerrilla war. United States Census, Amateur Right Chief Path, um, B. August 23, 1762, in Nash County, Rockmount, North Carolina. D. 1842 in Cosa, Alabama. His father was Joseph White, Sir Sr. His mother was Gulima Newby. They were Quakers. The Quaker version says that they lived their entire lives in Nash County, North Carolina. Detailed information on Joseph and Gulima White can be found in Hitchens' American Quaker Encyclopedia online. Genealogists state that they both died in 1794 in the Cherokee Nation. All right. Gulima is an Italian and Bohemian first name. She was not Cherokee as stated in a legion of Cherokee heritage websites and was listed as white in the U.S. Census. Major and Asbella White were Quakers who lived in Northampton County, North Carolina, before moving to the Cherokee Nation. The father of Cherokee Chief Charles Hicks, also a Quaker, was born in Virginia County, immediately north of Hampton. Okay, I'm going to read that again. Okay. The father of the Cherokee chief, Charles Hicks, also a Quaker, was born in Virginia County, immediately north of Northampton. Amajar White was married to Asbilla Knight. Asbilla was born in 1755 in Northampton County, North Carolina, and died on February 5th, 1844 to 45 on Brownstone Creek, Cherokee, North Carolina. She was a white woman, not the daughter of a famous Cherokee chief, as most internet Cherokee historians state. Obviously, the whites were Quaker missionaries or traders. They had 5 children: Archibald, William, Joseph, Thomas, Mary. None lived in the Cherokee Nation, and the descendants always listed their race as white. Thomas White served as a lieutenant in the U.S. Army during the War of 1812. Archibald White, son of Whitepath, was born about 1810 and died date unknown. He is listed on the 1840 census as living in Township Division 3, Fleming County, Kentucky. 1 male over 20 under 30 and 1 female over 20 under 30 in his household. All that were listed in 1840 were him and his wife. United States Census Bureau, year 1840, roll M704_110, page 238, image 122. Mind-blowing fact check. 1. Amajar Whitepath had no Cherokee heritage and probably was no more than 1/16th Native American from Penobscot tribe in Maine. All right. Which reminds me of the conversation I had with the Cherokee Nation. Their current chief only has 1/32nd, okay, or 2/32nd of Cherokee, but he's the chief. Okay. Once again, there's a reason why I'm reading all this. It may seem a little bit boring, okay, but you see, we have to read this information and we have to know these things to know the games that were played. You feel me? Because it wasn't just in that part of the U.S. alone. This happened all over. Okay. His wife, Absela, was not Cherokee and was also born in Northeast North Carolina. She died in 1794 in Brasstown, North Carolina. Her name is English. It is quite possible that White later took a common law mixed blood Cherokee wife, which enabled him to live within the Cherokee Nation. But this is not known for sure. Possibly they allowed him to live there because of the Penobscot heritage and the fact that Amajori's father had once belonged to the same Quaker congregation in southeastern Virginia that Charles Hicks' white ancestors attended. Number 2, Amajar White was a pacifist because he was a Quaker, according to the land surveyors, who in 1828 surveyed Tunip Town. It was an African-American community. Really? An African-American community. You see how they like playing these games, these word games? That's why I say my people perish for the lack of knowledge, right? The surveyors actually used a pejorative word to describe the ethnicity of Tunip Town and the appearance of the houses. Number three, a major white probably arrived in Tunip Town after the Chickamauga War ended, or between 1795 and 1800, since his house was built around the 1800s. Number four, one of Amajor's sons left the Cherokee Nation before the Trail of Tears and lived as a white man in Fleming County, Kentucky. A younger son, Tom, was a lieutenant in the U.S. Army during the War of 1812. After the Cherokee removal, he obtained a tract of land near Cosa, Alabama, and lived there for the rest of his life. Number five, White's paths. Other children also left the Cherokee Nation before 1836 and also represented themselves as white on U.S. Census forms. And now you know. Okay. Now you may be asking, right, Chief, so you may be asking, well, Chief, why are you reading all this? Why is this so important? Well, this is important to show you again, okay, the paper genocide that took place. A lot of these people, these natives that are out here calling themselves American Indians, those people are Europeans. That's facts. Okay, that is facts. Now somebody asked, if ancestors are from Alabama and are Cherokee and are reddish brown on the doors rows, my great grandparents were Quaker. Not necessarily. Okay, not necessarily. That's not what it means. Okay. Now, asking the question as to where were the original Quakers, were they so-called pale people or so-called black people? Again, that's questionable. Okay, because in the 1600s, if they came in as pilgrims, all right, then they were of the pale skin. All right. So if they were the Quakers, okay, it doesn't mean because your ancestors were in that area, all right, they were the pale people. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't necessarily mean that. Remember, all those treaties had to be ratified. And once again, if you go back to that video that I had the conversation with the Cherokee Nation, all those treaties were ratified and they created new treaties with the United States. Okay. And that gave them the authority to get rid of a lot, or if not most, of the original people that were indigenous, and created a whole new nation called the Cherokee Nation that only existed on paper. Okay. So that's why I had to read that. Okay. I mean, it was a lot of reading, you know. Again, some of the things that I read, it may be a little bit boring, but sometimes that's what it takes to read things. Okay. It doesn't matter how boring it may seem, but read it to see what's going on and to know what's going on. Because we have these so-called natives out here, okay, looking down on us, disrespecting us. You see what I'm saying? When the truth of the matter is they're not American Indians. Now, does it mean some of them don't have some of our blood or DNA in them? That's not what it means, because a lot of them, their grandparents and great-grandparents are so-called black women. You feel me? Because they had to marry our women. That was one of the only ways, okay, to get any type of hereditary, rights to the land. And that's facts. The French trappers in Canada, same thing. They had to marry so-called black women, but they will not tell you that. You see what I'm saying? They will not tell you that. That's what they're hiding. They're hiding that secret. They will hide the pictures of their great-grandmothers. You feel me? And then they will tell you, oh, well, they'll tell you, oh, well, we've been here for generations and generations. That's why I had to break down what a generation is. Okay. A generation for a woman is only about 20 to 25 years. For a man, is about 25 to 30 years for the most. It depends. So when people hear of generations, people think a generation is 100 years. No, it's not. That's why I have to break these things down. I keep telling you, everything I do, there's a madness to it. So if you go back to all my videos, okay, you will see the buildup and you would see how everything is coherent. Everything is making sense. It is all adding up. You feel me? So don't get fooled. Oh, well, oh, my ancestors been here for 10 generations, 20 generations. That's only about, if you have to do the math, we're talking about 200-300 years. We're going back to the time when they really came here as indentured servants or slaves. But those are the people that are calling themselves American Indians. Those are the people that are getting the casinos. Those are the people that's getting the bucks. They're the ones getting the bread. And when I talk to my people, you know what? Let's come together, man. Let's unite. Let's make some moves. That's why I tell people I can't do it alone, man. I'm only one man. I'm only one man. Okay. Let me see if I could find that for you to show you the type of money that these people are getting. All right. Let me just see if I could find this for you real quick. I know I have it somewhere. Let me see. Was it in Hawaii or Alaska? Let me see something. Let's see if that come up. Let me see. Free passage under the rights. Let me see something. Give me 1 second here. If I could find one more thing before I get out of here. Science, archaeology, Denmark, with Europeans. Let me see something. All right. So it's like, it's just, to me, man, it's just crazy, man. And I tell people, what's happening to us, in as much as a lot of you may get mad at me for saying this, it's our fault. It's our fault, man. It's our fault. Okay? Because we allowing it to happen. I'm trying to see if I could find this. Let me see. Was it millions or billions? I think it was billion. Let me just put in the search billion and see what comes up. Billion. Let me see some. Let me see. Test. All right, 100 billion and dollars. Give me see some. It is actual constituted right debtors. All right, both registered on the 1 trillion transaction. Okay, so that's not what I'm looking for. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, please, if you guys don't mind. Okay. Million. It says rules, new weekly figures for the job since the pandemic, 10 million taxes study. Okay. All right. I was trying to find a link to show you the amount of money some natives just got, but you know what? It's cool. So let me just go ahead and go to something else. Why is this only? Wow, this. Let me see. I normally don't. I'm gonna try to see if I could still squeeze that in. All right. Show details. Alrighty. Okay. All right. So let me just go back. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Whoa. 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 Can't go back. Hide details. All right. I mean, this site right here is kind of like want me to accept the cookies. I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna try to see if I could squeeze in a little bit of that right here, okay? Before I get out of here. Let me just read another article for y'all real quick. So that's why I say, man, a lot of times when these people want to come, they want to come at us. Don't come at me, man. I'm not the one, okay? I am not the one. You feel me? All right. So Now, this site is blocking, the whole screen. So we're going to have to read in between because I'm not going to accept the cookies. Okay. Period. All right. So if we could read a little bit of whatever. I'll also take this and put it in the description for you. Okay. And I'm going to read. Okay. This is from sciencenordic.com. Okay. Sciencenordic.com. Okay, I will put it in the link for you when I'm finished reading some of the all right. So it says what? It says DNA links Native Americans with Europeans. Okay. Ancient DNA reveals that the ancestors of the modern day natives had European roots. All right. The discovery sheds new light on Europeans' prehistory and also solves old mysteries concerning colonization of America. Okay, and that was published Friday, the 22nd of November, 2013. Okay, so I'm just letting y'all know, all right, the majority of these people that's calling themselves natives out here, those people are Europeans. Okay, pale Europeans, and that's a fact. So once again, I'm going to let you know that everything that's happening to us is because we allow it to happen. Because all we do is just sit around. The majority of us, caught up in the distractions. It doesn't matter how much information I put out or anybody put out. A lot of you just look at it as entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Refuse to come together and build and do what we got to do. But I'm not saying everybody's that way, but that's what I see for the most part. Because I've been doing this for so long. We could have made some moves. At least we, start something, spark something. That's what it's all about. We may not be the ones to complete it, but at least let's start something. You feel me? Because we have enough information. And my thing is, always put the burden of proof on your accusers. You keep saying that's not who we are. You keep saying we came from Africa. Well, prove it. Because I guarantee you they can't prove it. You feel me? They can't prove it because there's no proof. Because we've always been here. So there's no paper trail of showing we came here. How is that? Okay. There are so many artifacts. I'm talking about that goes back thousands of years. Okay. They even find Egyptian mummies. They even find Egyptian pharaohs. But you're telling me you cannot, just think about it. Like I tell people, conductive reasoning is a mother. You see what I'm saying? Because if you're not using your own mind to think about it, right? If you really want to solidify that we all came from Africa, why would you not have the documents and the facts, the paper trail? Why wouldn't you have some artifacts from a boat, the slave ships? Why wouldn't you have that? Just in case these people start talking about, oh, nah. Oh, yeah, y'all want to say you're not from Africa? All right, then. Let me show you the proof. How come they don't have that? And let me tell you something. This system, they are so thorough. I promise you, if that existed, they would have had it. Okay? If it existed, they would have been put it out. You feel? But they don't have it. They cannot produce it because it never existed. It never existed, family. Once again, you have to think about commerce, commercial. It's a commerce game, right? Why do you think, okay, that China is doing big business? Because China is able to make those things for so cheap. You feel me? So the point I'm making is, think about it back in those days, right? You didn't have all this technology. You already had people in this land, and we know that they were so-called against so-called Negroes, right? Why would you go across the ocean to get the same Negroes that you already had here working, when you could just take them from island to island, okay, from country to country in the Americas, because each of those states are individual countries. For those of you who don't know, that's all they were doing. Taking the men from the United States, bringing them to the islands, okay? Taking the men from the islands, bringing them into the United States. You feel me? Once a few of them in between, they would bring from Europe, because they will not tell you about the American Aborigines they took and brought to England and even brought some of them to Africa. They will not tell you about the American Aborigines they took to Portugal, in Spain. They will not tell you none of that. They will not tell you that. So a lot of us are mixed in with each other, once again thinking we are different. But like I told you, they were literally swapping our men, okay, from island to island, okay, from the mainland to South America, different places, okay, and then they come up with this plan. Hey, you know what? As long as they have so-called dark skin, they are black, boom, they're Africans. And there you have it. But of course, if there is a void, right? And they tell you, well, let me ask you, right? And they say, well, all the indigenous people died from smallpox. Really? So there was a void to fill. So what they had to do, they had to get people to replace us and then now give you the visualization in the movies, the newspapers, and start changing the what the original people look like. And this is where we are at today. Okay? Fractionalize our land, giving people our land for literally $1 per acre. Because they came with a plan. You feel me? We have been here from time immemorial, even before Columbus was born. Okay? We have been here. So like I said, okay, at the top of January, I'm going to open up. We are going to organize, okay? And with our website, it's always in the link. You feel me? We're going to have our memberships and we're going to step up. It's time to step up. I mean, come on. I mean, how much more teaching can I do? How much more teaching can anybody do? We have so much information. At least let's open up the conversation and start challenging things. Let's have an open conversation. You know what I'm saying? Let's have an open conversation. And if it comes out that we have to go, you know, let's do a national, you know, a national thing, like they have a national convention. Okay, let's bring everybody to the table. Everybody that's claiming, you know, to be, you know, American Indians, bring the natives on. Let's bring the Aborigines and let's talk. Let's do that. I'm ready. And let's find some ways that where everybody agree to make a decision and say, okay, you know what? We're going to get at the bottom of this. And if it turns out, hey, if it turns out in the end, everybody who look like me, who look like us, we from Africa, it is what it is. I tell people, you know, this is not about hating Africans. This is about the truth, about who we are. You feel me? So, but let's come to the table, okay? No lies, no propaganda, no BS, okay? And let's talk it out. And let's do the necessary or take the necessary steps to prove that, whichever way we decide. But it will not be the doors rose. It will not be the census that was made up by the US government. Let's get into the blood of who these people are, okay? Let's get into that. Let's get into the hair, the DNA of the hair, because I promise you, they got their hair is the same hair as the Asians and the Spaniards and Europeans. They have the same hair texture. You feel me? So let's get to the bottom of it. I'm ready. I'll be right in the forefront. Let's do this. Put your money where your mouth is, because I'm willing to put my entire reputation on the line. Okay. I know I'm a billionaire because all that's, you know, all that's manifesting as I speak. So I'll put my billion or whatever it is, I'll put it on the line and let's bring it to the public. Let's bring it to the world. Let's see who the true original Americans are. That's how confident I am. So we got work to do, man. We got work to do. You feel me? Because if y'all want to come at us like that, All right, then. So we're going to put the burden of proof on you. Give us the proof. Show us that we came from Africa. You feel me? Give me the records. Give me the manifest. You feel me? Give it to me. Oh, now we know who we are. You feel me? So that's where I'm at with it, man. So like I said, y'all better just get ready for January. All right? Because it's going to take a lot of work. Okay? We're going to, a lot of criticism. That's fine. I'm ready for all that. But we got to organize. First, we have to organize. That is the number one thing. That's where we are lacking, organization. So we have to organize. All right? And when we do that, then we could start making some moves. It's the only way it's going to work. Okay? Individuals running around, doing their own thing, it's not going to happen. We have to unite. Okay? So I've been on here for an hour, so I'm about to conclude this. Just wanted to give y'all another video before I bounce. Once again, I know it was a lot of reading sometimes. The reading might seem a little bit boring, but I have to go through it to expose a lot of these things that have happened, and it's still happening. Okay? It is necessary. So I hope you found some value in that. You guys have an amazing and a blissful sunrest, and we will talk soon. All right? Thank you for being a part of the build. We'll talk later.